Sul, hello, and Labus. Here we are at the main Payne family, where everything is changed, and yet, at the same time, nothing is changed. The vote was overwhelmingly for Luella's baby to live, so the baby is here, but Luella is now gone. There were a lot of reasons to justify why she could or couldn't keep the baby. All of the comments were really well thought out, but in the end, I think what makes the most sense is that while Luella got the plague, it was only bubonic, I say, like that's not a nightmare. But because it was bubonic, she had the best odds and she was able to overcome the sickness and pass the antibodies on to the baby since the baby was able to survive the roll. But the strain of childbirth was too much for her and she passed on. We've actually in total lost about 3 days to Sims going down, so I've also kind of played with time and used those days to explain why she was able to go so far into her pregnancy before getting sick, even though for us it happened all at once, obviously. The baby who was born is actually a girl. They finally had a girl baby who lived, and her name is Lucia, meaning light. The family, of course, cannot feed the baby because it's only menfolk left. So they've hired a nursemaid to be there for the baby and to take over all of the, quote, women's jobs that we now have no women for. The nursemaid lost all of her own family, so she's got nothing, and she's currently working for room and board, but I think we should pay her as well, although I haven't landed exactly on how much. Also, as it turns out, I did plead for a single sim who failed their role from last episode. I don't think that that'll surprise anybody at this point. And I don't think who I pled for will be a surprise either. It's our pal Edgar. The idea of another Edgar dying during another catastrophe, like what happened in the famine, was just too tragic for me. Like I really just couldn't bear the idea of it. So Edgar is... There's no available space. This house is such a wreck. So anyways, Edgar is back. He actually as well was already bubbling for his teenage birthday. So he is now a teen, although is he a teen is kind of a question as well. The reason why the question of is he a teen or is he not a teen is a question at all is because Wondering 298 suggested an idea that if a sim was pled for successfully during the plague, we could introduce the idea that they have to survive a double roll on their next birthday. So Sims who we were able to save then are still somewhat sick. Their immune systems are compromised. And that's why they have to go through a double roll is because we don't know if, they're going to be able to make it. We don't know if something else will go wrong. The person who saved Edgar, of course, was Kenrick. Kenrick was very passionate when he spoke to Grimm, and Grimm was merciful. Thank goodness. Because to be honest with you, I don't know, it's kind of just scary. At this point, 42 Sims have failed their plague rolls. 37 Sims have survived them, and we've been able to successfully plead for 5. I've had to do this pretty fast after the last episode came out. Only less than a day and a half after the last episode came out, because the building that I live in is going to be shutting off the power on the day that I would normally spend working on Ultimate Decade stuff. So I won't have access to electricity. And electricity is somewhat important for, I don't know, doing all of this stuff, recording, editing, all of this stuff. It's kind of important to have electricity. So yeah. What's up with the baby? Also, why can't we hear the baby? The baby's silent. Maybe the baby has vocal cords that are messed up. Oh, Heidi, please don't. At some point, we're also going to have to get some more animals because we don't have any animals. Don't be like that, Rooster. Harper, can you please take care of your friend Sugar? The last of our small animals left. Originally, last episode, I thought it would be kind of funny if I showed the animals' roles. I thought, oh, it'll be kind of funny to be like, oh, ho, 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 ho. It didn't end up working out. It was too depressing. Everything else was just too depressing, you know? Man. So this is Marion McCormick. Marion McCormick is the nursemaid. She's a young adult. She's lost all of her own family. And, oh yeah, I've had to go back offline because the stupid celebrations thing. Listen, I don't know how you guys feel about these timed events. I personally don't mind them. I think that it's great that they're giving the community stuff for free. I think some of the stuff is good, but what I don't like about them is that you cannot opt out. That really actually, it kind of infuriates me, to be perfectly frank. It's infuriating to me that you can't opt out, and it's infuriating that you can't like hide the icon. So the icon is there 100% of the time. It just drives me a little bit insane because it feels kind of like, I mean, it kind of feels like they're just trying to bully us into doing it. So I'm offline again because I don't want to have to deal with that. What is up with this baby? This baby is the saddest baby in the whole world. Maybe she's sickly. I don't know. But anyways, so for Edgar, Edgar is exhausting. Edgar is exhausted. We were not able to finish all of his childhood traits like we wanted to, but he is cheerful, practice makes perfect, relatable, and domestic. He's socially gifted and creatively gifted, and he has top-notch infant. I don't know what he likes or doesn't like, and currently he's goal-oriented, like a teen aspiration, but that's mostly just because I didn't know what to do with him. Could you come over here? Could all three of you guys come over here and like just sit and chat with each other? As for you, would you mind terribly making some food? Because I can't help but notice a lot of food is kind of off. This year, we should have had 9 other birthdays, but now we've only got a handful of birthdays, so that's fun. And also, the reason why I never put Eleanor on the spreadsheet is that this would have been her death year if she'd have survived the plague. So I kind of felt like it wasn't worth it, you know? I felt like it just wasn't worth it. But for now, Edgar is in fact a teenager. But if we go along with that whole double roll thing, we do have to do a double roll for him now. We also have to see if he'll get, oh, I guess he's the heir, so he will get married and have infinite baby tries. This poor lady is going to have such a job because everything is filthy around here. Deep down in my heart of hearts, I am kind of hoping that Harper takes a liking to Marion, but I don't know. If he's not gonna feel anything about anything, then I'm not gonna push him to, you know what I mean? But on this note, we're gonna go ahead and do Edgar's rolls and just see, is he gonna make it through this teenage birthday? Please, please let him. Edgar cannot roll the number 7 to survive. The first one doesn't count. And the second time he has to roll, okay, he's fine. So Edgar does get to survive. He is not the only Sim who has got a double birthday on this day. He's not. So we can go ahead and leave the Paynes here at this point. We do have quite a few other homes to go to, so I'm going to pop over to those other homes. It's going to be a bit of a rush, but that's what I'm going to do so that we can get through some of these other roles that we've got to get through. Oh man, Edgar is feeling pretty good because he was saved, but everyone else is obviously depressed. I think it's unsurprising. Edgar, why are you not sleeping in your own bed? So yes, we're gonna jump on over to Rollo's home. He's up for his young adult role, and so I will see you when we get there. Happy birthday, Rollo. It's your birthday, buddy. And some of your deceased family members came along to say hi, to see you. Happy birthday, bud. Sorry that you're going through this. Okay, Rollo, let's see if you're gonna make it through your rolls, pal. For Rollo to survive the young adult roll, he just cannot roll the numbers 6 or 14, but he does have to do it twice. So the first one, he made it through, and the second one, he also made it through. Oh my goodness. These Sims. I mean, it's depressing. It's still depressing. But at least he made it, you know? And so here he is with his dad and his brother passed on from this world. Oh, cute. It's nice that he gets to say at least like hi and goodbye. But on that note, that was the main thing for the Hagens. The Hagens. The one Hagen left. Oh my gosh. Rollo should be getting married soon, but he only has 4 baby tries, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So at this point, we're going to move on to the next household, so I will see you when we get to the next one. So here we are at the Smith residence, because Kate literally went into labor right after I did the plague rolls. When I was still going around, I'd stopped recording, and I was going around to get the pictures for the Sims family portraits. And she went into labor, but I was not in a place emotionally or mentally to deal with it. So I got the footage of her in labor, but didn't set up the microphone again. And named the baby Albie because I literally just couldn't think of any other name. It was the last name that was on their list on the spreadsheet. So I just was like, okay, Albie it is. But I haven't done their roles yet. So we're going to have to wait and see together what their roles are. I'm hoping that they go pretty well. But honestly, like, who knows at this point, you know? I kind of feel like we don't know what's going on anymore. Okay, so for Kate to survive the labor, she cannot roll the numbers 1 or 11. Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay, and for baby Albie to survive, he cannot roll the numbers 1, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, or 20. Come on. Albie is a cursed name, I guess. It's just never gonna work out for us with that name, so that was my bad. That means that Kate and Graham are about halfway through their baby tries at this point. This Albie isn't going to make it either. And they've only got one child. Oh my gosh. Pip is in the lead by a long way in his poll. But just as a reminder, the people who win their votes are going on to compete against each other for the final 2 spots in the end. So one will bring back through Vitality Nectar and one will do the whole reincarnation thing with. But, like, it's not a done deal that if they win their poll, then they're coming back. It's only 2 Sims that we're going to bring back, so. And now, of course, everyone is depressed. Oh my gosh, it's just one tragedy after another, it feels like sometimes, but I guess that's how it really was. At least we got Edgar back. I feel somewhat heartened that we were able to get him returned to us. So, oh, it's tempting to just stay here, but we've got a few other places to go. We've got another Sim who has to do the double roll to see if they are going to survive post-plague saving. So we might go ahead and do that first before we head to Lithuania. We do have to go to Lithuania to check in on Sophia's family. And then I thought it also might be nice to just check on some of the other Lithuanian families because you probably have realized that those are the last Sims that we have left to roll for. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and leave the Smiths here, reeling from the loss of yet another child. They had such good luck, and post-plague, it's like everything's changed. But off we go to see if the last of the Brewer children is going to make it. Well, here we are at the Brewers' home because today is Sawyer Brewer's birthday to a child. Oh my gosh, I forgot that he'd been left with all of this stuff. That's an unresolved storyline. Oh my goodness. Can you please help Sawyer to blow out his candles? He's only got the 1 day left because of the fact that he died, if you remember. But happy birthday, Sawyer. No pressure, but basically everything's riding on you, kid. Everything's riding on you. So, please do well. Please do well. Up he goes. So he was wild and now he is a bookworm. He can be a mental boy then. For Sawyer to survive his birthday to a child, he cannot roll the numbers 3, 9, or 19. And he has to roll twice. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Ooh, man, you know, it's just that I don't trust anything anymore. That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter. But at least Sawyer is safe. He's fine. He's going to make it. He's eating some ham and cheese sandwich. Okie doke. Grim is floating. I guess a rooster is going down. I'm not that fussed. I don't really care. It's not my problem. It's kind of, ew. Dang, those look really dirty. I guess while we're here, Arthur, it's worthwhile to know, oh my gosh, look, this was for all their future children. Al Sawyer, you can have that bed, buddy. I guess while we're here, it's important to know that Arthur is a changed man. Yep, I know. He was such an outgoing, charming, personable, funny guy before, but now he's gloomy, he's withdrawn, he's not currently, but generally much quieter, and he's just haunted by the past half decade where he has seen a lot of really awful stuff, and he's in a terribly dark emotionally place. What is glitching over here? I don't know. Sawyer's just hanging out. Just hanging out. Do you want to help your dad with cooking? You can. I really am struggling to see Arthur getting married again. It's kind of a big ask for me right now. I just don't really feel like he would. I don't feel like that's the place that he's in. I can't really see it happening. I can't see who he would marry, what would possess him to get married. I know that technically he's responsible at this point for carrying on the family line, but like, I just don't see it happening, you know? Oh my gosh, all this stolen stuff everywhere. And then there's that whole mess. He's got to deal with all of the accusations and the taxes and everything. So I don't know, there's kind of a dark cloud over his family right now. And I don't know how they're supposed to, who's going to want to marry into that. Do you know what I mean? At this point, I think we're going to leave these guys here and we're going to head over to Lithuania to check in on Sophia's family. Quite a few things are going on there. So I'll see you when we get to Sophia's household for the birthday rolls that are going on there. Okay, so here we are at the Scherer home. There's been a lot of stuff going on. As you know, at the end of the last episode, Sophia had a baby. This baby was another girl, and the girl was actually successful with her role. Something else that's happened is that autonomously, when I came here to name the baby, Randolph and Otto asked each other to woohoo. And it turns out that Randolph is in fact... oh, he's not attracted to him. I thought that he was. Well, he autonomously had some romantic interests in him. But we're here today for a number of reasons. The first is that it is Adela's birthday. Adela is the newborn who is becoming an infant today. Very exciting. It is also Otto's birthday. He might have already... No, he hasn't done it yet without us. But first, we'll see Adela age up. Yay! Another baby growing up. She is intense. She is her mother's daughter. Okie dokie. So great. Aldona hates being carried. Why don't you... Yeah, you can like deep thoughts. You can put Aldona down here and you can come make a wish. Everyone can come sit here. You can come sit here. Oh, she wants to hug someone. Otto, With Kennard's genes that you snuck in past us. Happy birthday, you're becoming an adult, dude. You can do it. Oh, Sophia cheered for you at least. He's aged up to an adult. His father did send him a gift and some other people. Is he related to Kale then? Kale Greystroke in some way? I don't know. These family lines, you know? I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to go ahead and look at Adela and Cass, look at Otto and Cass, and just see how their roles are going. So I wonder if Kale is related to him. Oswin is, because Oswin is Kennard's bro. But okay, Adela. Oh my gosh, she's got such, she's got the mischievous eyes. She's got her mom's hair color. I think she's got her dad's skin tone, maybe? Okay, for Otto to survive his adult birthday, he cannot roll the numbers 3, 6, 11, 13, or 18. And he did fine. He did totally fine. Okay. So in this household, I guess there's good news, obviously. Otto has survived his birthday to an adult. They have 2 children together, both daughters, Aldona and Adela. That's very cute. Sten is actually, well, he would be up for marriage this year if he actually could get married, but he can start getting married. He can start getting married. He can start trying to do his 8 baby tries. He seems to like kids pretty okay. He doesn't mind hanging out with his siblings, at least, even though he's mean and self-absorbed and dastardly. But he is at the age that he can start having children. Randolph is apparently attracted to male Sims as well as female Sims. But on that note, I think I'm going to leave the Scherers here. And actually, I kind of wanted to go and see the Miskinnis family, Darius's family, to just check in on what's going on over there. So I think I'll see you when we get over to that lot to check in on those guys. So Darius wants to go jogging. Off he goes. Here we are at the Miskinnis home. I guess things to note is that Johanna has been able to get married for several years. However, I have introduced her to quite a lot of Sims, and she has not yet really found anybody that great. Dana and Vitalia both could get married from this year, but the problem with Dana is that for some reason, even though she's alluring, other Sims don't seem to find her attractive. I don't know, I've introduced both of them to a lot of different Sims, and it's just not happening for them. Ew, there's dust down here. Can you please sweep this floor? And can you please sweep this floor if you don't mind? Oh, I guess you can't. As I mentioned at the end of the last episode, Vitalia is currently missing from these guys. She's off somewhere else. We don't know, well, I know where she is. You'll find out soon. But these guys don't know where she is. Vilkas is just hanging out down here, I guess. And I was kind of thinking that since the Lithuanian family is the Lithuanian Sims are the ones who are up for their roles, that maybe we could do the Black Death stuff here instead of doing it at the main family. Since the main family, I don't know, I don't know how to deal with them right now. In terms of the Black Death stuff, while the plague was going on, different places tried to get a handle on it in different ways, kind of like we've talked about intermittently, but there are a few final bits and bobs that I wanted to share with you guys that I thought were interesting. First, in Italy, by 1348, Venice became the first city to enforce a 30-day isolation period for ships and travelers. Over time, that 30-day isolation period would evolve to 40 days, and that led to the development of the word quarantine from the word quarate, which is where we get modern quarantines from. Second, we've all heard tales of the plague pits, I'm sure, and we imagine them just to be a chaotic mess, very sad and depressing, and I mean, they are. For some cities, though, that was more true than others, because cities tried to dig these deep mass graves outside of town, but deep was relative, and some cities were just so overwhelmed that they couldn't dig deep enough, which would lead to animals being able to dig up those who had just been buried and sort of move them from where they'd been laid to rest. Obviously, in those places, the dirt barely covered those who had passed. The cities were very smelly to be in, and it was just like a grim state of affairs. A monk from Rochester Abbey wrote that men and women carried their own children upon their shoulders and threw them into the common pit. But English plague pits that have been examined show that the bodies weren't just thrown in like we often imagine and like that quote leads us to believe. Instead, they were lined carefully together, covered with lime, and then layered as best as people could, indicating that they tried to take care of the bodies and they tried to treat them respectfully, even though there was no way to give individual rights to each person. However, the main focus that I wanted to touch on today is how the plague changes society going forward, because it has some pretty big impacts. For one, in the late Middle Ages, the words plague and contagion were used for a lot of different things, but they were rarely used for sicknesses. Usually, plague referred to the plague of heresy, and contagion referred to the contagion of heresy or the contagion of rebellion. Sicknesses all had very specific names at this time. For example, diabetes was called the honey disease. However, when the Black Death came along, contagion and plague began to be used by people in the medical field, cementing their relationship with disease and medicine. The impact of the Black Death and later plague outbreaks also leads directly to the creation of a new kind of text in the medical genre, which is the plague text. By the 16th century, plague texts were written in the common language for local communities, meaning that they were accessible for everyone who could read, which is a big change to texts that existed before that. Also, plague texts by the 16th century are the most commonly written type of texts. Basically, they asked simple and straightforward questions like what you could do to stop it or to prevent getting plague, and they tried to give some reasonable advice to people. But most importantly, these texts were written from a secular perspective rather than a religious one, which had not been done in Europe since about the 6th century, when the church achieved its hold on education and scholarship and was able to successfully push out views that did not agree or align with the religious thinking of the time, which is why the philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome and all the knowledge that came before was lost to Europe during what is commonly referred to as the Dark Ages. I want to point out again that the Middle East had had an open relationship with secular thinking for the entirety of the Middle Ages, and it stands in stark contrast to Europe in this way, but these are notable changes in Europe. By the 16th century as well, doctors were really kind of over the idea that God and sin had created the plague, and they became pretty blunt about that. They essentially said that they were done with looking at supernatural causes, and they were looking for things rooted in the physical world around them, like water supplies and cleanliness and the anatomical nature of disease, and this was a big change to earlier times. In addition, though, hospitals changed in Europe, because before the plague, hospitals were just a place where the clergy and the sick could come and stay overnight or get a little bit of food. But as time went on, hospitals in Europe changed to become specialized centers for different diseases, much like how hospitals had been in the Middle East since 872. Additionally, I saw it suggested that the plague may be the reason why English is spoken in England. Before the plague, French was the dominant language for the nobility, and Latin was obviously dominant for the clergy, and those were the groups of people who had power. However, the nobility obviously were already fewer in number than the common people, as is the way in social hierarchies, and the nobility and the church were hit pretty hard. There are many accounts of entire churches falling to the plague, as they obviously helped to tend to the sick and they were in closer proximity to the infected. So this may be when English rose as the language of England due to the shifting power dynamics and the population ratios post-plague. Once the plague passed, there was a dramatic recovery in the economy of Europe, but in terms of population, it would take a really long time for different countries to regain their pre-plague populations. Western Europe didn't regain pre-plague numbers until the beginning of the 16th century. However, this varied from place to place. England didn't recover its pre-plague population until the 18th century, and Florence won't recover its population until after 1850. So it takes a really long time for countries to bounce back after this. Obviously, this led to social upheaval as the shortage in labor led to rising wages, which of course the elite fought back against for a bit before, as all things go in the big picture, change happened. By 1358, there would be a peasant revolt in France. By 1381, there's a peasants' revolt in England. And after some hiccups along the way, serfdom declined and the feudal system died out. In addition, as the church was less trusted than before the plague and the established clergy was hit pretty badly by the losses, the church's hold on ideas and viewpoints was challenged, creating the opportunity for new ideas, art, and interpretations to emerge and leading directly to the Renaissance. The initial outbreak of the plague, what we've called the Black Death, had more or less equal mortality amongst the entire population, but later plagues are not going to be so consistent. In a plague outbreak in Siena in 1383, children 12 and under made up 88% of the victims. Similarly, the plague of 1361 to 1362 is sometimes nicknamed the Plague of Children because during that time, as a statistic, as an example, 2/3 of one town studied in France ended up childless. It's worthwhile noting that chances of survival were greater in the winter as the plague prefers more tepid climates. For a while, the plague was actually nearly non-existent in winter, but it did eventually evolve to exist in cold climates as well. However, it never became as powerful in colder climates as it was in other areas, and the mortality rate was notably lower in Scotland, which lost only 1/3 of its population, and Northern Europe. There's so many other tidbits and stories from the plague, but we're at the end of this outbreak now. So to close off with some words from the past, I wanted to share a haunting quote from a monk who was the sole survivor at his monastery of 35 people. He wrote, "I would, my brother, that I had never been born, or at least had died before these times. In what annals has it ever been read that houses have been left vacant, cities deserted, the country neglected, the fields too small for the dead, and a fearful and universal solitude over the whole earth?" What do you mean, friendly introduction? Girl, you know him. But on that note, I think we're gonna leave this one here, with 1350 coming to a close. It's just the Lithuanian families that we have left to roll for. So they're the only ones that we have to wait and see how they're going to go. But they're all going to sleep, getting some rest, unaware that the world is about to change as they know it. Here we are at a little teeny tiny home where, okay, we can see some things going on. So like I mentioned before, Vitalia and Dana were up for marriage this year. They could have gotten married, but what happened is that basically a few years ago, yeah, you can like stories, Zechariah. A few years ago, I was doing the Lithuanian home risk rolls, and the roll that they got, that Darius's house got, was that they would have a consequence, obviously, and the consequence that they got was that one of them would fall in love with one of the invaders. And when I did the wheel of names to see who it would be, it turned out to be Vitalia. And so the invaders came along, and Vitalia looked at one, he looked at her, and they fell what they thought was in love. Of course, I wouldn't personally say that it's love. I would say that it's lust, but what do I know? Now, this Sam that she, quote, fell in love with, he is from the gallery, but I actually, since I'm playing offline because of the Cozy Celebrations thing and not wanting that icon in the background while we're dealing with the plague and everything, I don't know who created him. I got him a long time ago. He was just in my gallery from when I downloaded him before in the past, so I don't actually know where he's from or who created him. He just kind of exists here. Can you make maybe some garden salad? Do you have any cooking skill? No. I don't think he has any skills at all, really. Will you please clean that? It's really gross. And then you can apply some facial cleanser. So Zachariah Lance is good and romantic, and he wants to have a successful lineage, so she could have done worse. They autonomously woohooed. She and he sort of navigated to each other. So yeah, they're together. They're together. They are in lust with each other. I don't know that they're in love. We'll see how things go to see if they even end up permanently together. But Vitalia has quite a few baby tries, I think. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them. It's just something that happened. It was just the consequence. I like how I see people running through the background, just terrified. That's just how life is these days. It's just how life is. Oh, yep, there she is. It's flashing. We're actually going to be here when it's flashing, and it's not a main family. That just happened to work out so well, didn't it? Wonder what he's trying to say. Tell an urban legend right now, dude. Like right this second. She's wandering around cleaning up your plate that you left somewhere. Oh my gosh, she's in labor. Let's not chat right now, and instead let's just go straight into having this baby. Because after this, we are doing the plague rolls, so, you know. It's happening, and I'm missing it. Oops. We're the wrong way around. That happens so much for me. Go, Vitalia, go! Vitalia, please, please, please don't put us through the trauma of reliving Oshira's life. Oh my gosh. Just thought about that. Okay. It's a girl baby. Oh my goodness. Should we name her Oshira? Oh. Should we? I'm naming the baby Oshira. We're gonna use his last name for now, but these names can change at any second. Oh my goodness. Oshira! Oh no. No. There's always something. It's another girl, though? Dang, I can't believe that. Okay. I'm actually going to reuse the name Jelva and hope that I don't regret my actions. Twins. Wow. Which one of you did it? Which one of you is the one prone to twins? Is it Oshira? Is it Oshira? Is it Vitalia? I can't remember now because... Oh my goodness. Where's the other baby? Right here? Oh my goodness. Why is it always twins? Okay, it's not always twins. I'm being melodramatic, but like, for real? In fact, I just have to do this first. For Oshira, oh my gosh, why do I keep doing that? For Vitalia to survive, she cannot roll the numbers 1, 2, 11, or 15 because I didn't think to get anybody here who's had a baby before and she had twins. She survived the first one, and for the second baby... Come on! Oh my god. This is... Well, either way, she would... That's an 11. It would be the second one. Oh my goodness. Ugh. For baby Oshira to make it, she cannot roll the numbers 1, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, or 20. Come on! And for Jelva to make it, she cannot roll the numbers 1, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, or 20. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We just have really bad luck these days. I mean, okay, I'm gonna be fair and say that Vitalia has basically been cursed for forever. Like, let's be real. She's been cursed for forever. Her whole line has been cursed. We're lucky a single baby made it for now, I guess. I guess technically, Vitalia has never actually been pled for successfully. So maybe we can say that we can plead for her this time. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know who's supposed to be pled for. I don't know what's supposed to happen. I don't know. I'm going to plead. I'm gonna do it. I don't think Grim's gonna give her back, but I'm gonna do it anyways. If we get her back, you'll have to let me know if you think we should keep her, because I don't know if it's fair or not. The rule is everyone gets one. Grim's not gonna say yes anyways. Yeah, Grim's not gonna say yes. I had a feeling. Because she's been plagued by death. Like, if I had the Grim pack, the life and death pack, you know what Vitalia would have as a trait is the chased by death, because, like, legitimately, I mean, that's her whole life, isn't it? She's just been plagued by death, plagued by tragedy, plagued by everything bad. There's no way around it. We were lucky she made it this far. It's not the way that I thought this was gonna go for her. I thought maybe she would have a couple of years, but I can't say I'm that surprised by it either, even though it's depressing. Ugh. I'm so frustrated. Well, and there you have it. It's the end of 1350. Now it's time to do the plague roll, so let's get into it and see what's gonna happen. For the Lithuanian Sims, because the plague was never as bad in colder climates as it was in other areas, they actually don't do the 50-50 odds. I was talking about this in the comments with somebody recently, and we were talking about how the plague had different impacts in different areas. So the Lithuanian Sims, for all of the curse that has been placed upon them by this world, at least have slightly better odds on this one. In this one, of a d6, 2 and 4 mean that they don't make it, whereas 1, 3, 4, and 6 mean that they're going to survive. So for Lance first, he's gonna make it. And for the baby is gonna make it, baby Jelva. Oh god. So at least a little bit of Oshra still lives on through Vitalia, who is now gone in her baby. Okay, for the Miskinus family, for Darius, Darius didn't make it. Okay, for Johanna is gonna make it. Dana's not gonna make it. Oh my goodness. Vitalia and her died at the same time. Oh my goodness. Is it the witches? Did they have something to do with this? Did they plant some seed that has resulted in this? For Vilcus? No, my gosh. Oh my god. What the heck? It was supposed to be better odds. The heck, man. So Johanna is the only one who survives in that household. At the Scherer household, for Otto, Otto's not gonna make it? Oh my gosh. What about Sophia? Sophia is going to live. What about Sten? Is going to live. Randolph? Randolph's not gonna make it. He like lost his whole youth, dude. Aldona is gonna make it. Adela? Come on! Oh my gosh, what the heck? That's out of 6 Sims in that household, that's another 50% of them gone. I'm so frustrated. Okay, it's okay. 2 Sims are gonna come back at the end of all of this. Good grief. At the Narva household, Shagatai? Shagatai is not gonna make it. What about Irma? Irma's gonna make it. Henrika, her daughter, is gonna make it. This is the first time we've seen a 6 this whole time. Am I wrong? What about Alton, the boy? Come on, 50% again. 50% again. You've got to be kidding me. There were 16 Sims who were rolled for. 1, 2. And even when it's supposed to be 30% odds, they still got 50% odds. I'm telling you, the Lithuanian Sims are just cursed. Like, that's really what it is. Did I, like, not understand that 2 out of 6 is 30%? Guess it's technically 33, but 33% to 50% is just... everything is awful. All of that work to get Vilcus was for nothing. All of that work to bring back Vitalia was for nothing. Like... at this point, something shady is going on with that Wixie trade. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is. Something off happened with that Wixie trade because none of it worked out the right way. None of it worked out the way it was supposed to. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's been just so crazy. I've never actually watched that many other Ultimate Decades Challenge playthroughs that made it to the Plague. So I don't know if this is normal. I don't know. So I don't know where in the episode this is going to go, but just as a heads up, post-Plague rolls, I'm going to take 1 or 2 weeks off of Ultimate Decades Challenge videos because it's been so many Sims that we've lost and so many stories that are in flux right now that I need some time to sort of like figure out where we're going after this. And that way as well, it gives everyone in the polls and the votes a chance to vote for who they want to make it to the final part of the Tournament of Plague, and also for us to choose the final, victors, the 2 final victors out of all of the Sims who have been shortlisted. In the meantime, though, there should be a mini-series coming out. It won't finish before we pick back up with Ultimate Decades Challenge, but it is related to the Payne Miskinus family and their story. So I hope that you check that out, and I hope that you end up liking it. As always, let me know your thoughts and ideas in the comments section below. I'm relieved that we're through the Plague. If nothing else, I'm just relieved that we're through it, and that we don't have to go through something like this for a while yet. It's been rough, and I'm looking forward to getting back to normal episodes. So I hope that you've survived this with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.